Alright. So, I wanted to try this because I have a green screen, so I'm going to try to use it. Also, I thought it would be, you know. Anyway, so, I went camping last weekend. So, we went like to Utah, and I got a bunch of different things to film and listen to, like sounds and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I want to do an art video. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm kind of starting off with some like warm-ups. Yeah. So the first one, I mean, it doesn't really look like me, but it is me. I was like looking through my phone. I was like, oh, I want to get something that's more like fundamental based, right? Because fundamentals are important, everybody. You gotta do those. But then, so I basically drew my face, but with like different colors and stuff, right? I don't know, I felt like doing that, so I did. And I used a reference from a picture that I did, or a silly picture. Silly? Maybe? A dumb picture I did when I curled my hair one time. So there's that. And then, I kind of, went on to doing my OC, I guess. I wanted to do something that was a bit more like reference-based, like, from the pictures and videos of the nature, beautiful environment around me. But I couldn't really get the photos and the videos like full to the extent where I'd want to use them. So maybe I'll do another video where I kind of just take some of that stuff and, you know, you paint with me type of thing. But so I think today I'm just gonna talk about arts school. I know. But we're gonna try it, okay? Because I am not in what a lot of artists like. I'm in art school, but I'm not in like animation school, right? So I'm just gonna basically talk about like the career path that I'm trying to go down, what I'm trying to do with my life, and how you don't necessarily just have one way to do something, right? Like there are different ways to get that job, and you don't necessarily need to go to art school to get that job, okay? You don't need to go to Cal Arts or whatever, or you don't even need to go to, yeah. Okay, so I am a film major. I'm in my junior year, and it sort of, I feel like it's a little bit like less constructive because you don't necessarily get to the classes you'd want to get to until you're in your junior to senior year, because you have all of these classes that they feel is necessary for you to have a bachelor degree in film, I guess. So that includes like knowing a whole year, getting a whole year of a language, and tons of different like Russian in film, women's in film, and you know, and I'm still doing those, and I'm in my junior year, you know what I mean? So like that's something you also have to kind of consider when you like decide to go to art school, is that like there is a likelihood that you're not gonna get started right away and you're just gonna be learning stuff that you may not want to learn, like art history, if you're gonna end up doing like a 2D art thing. But the thing, okay, let me explain why I chose film. Because I chose film, wanting to do, going into film, but I want to get into animation. I want to get into I want to be a storyboarder, essentially, like down the line. Or maybe a comic artist, like something within that general vicinity. I don't really want to be an animator. I just want to get into the animation business, okay, which I feel like is a distinctive thing. So my path is me going into film school. So at first, I was like, okay, like my entire life led up to the fact that I'm going to enter school to like the 2D thing, you know, like screen printing, just like 2D art painting, like all that jazz. And I was gonna try to go to a school that like, you know, specialized in it, but like living where I am, there aren't necessarily good schools for that unless I go to Cali, so, or like California. So I didn't really want to do that because that's expensive. So I kind of went with like a local college that's still a good college, but I was just gonna get better at the fundamentals there, right, and not really go for animation and stuff. So what I ended up doing is the last day they were like, okay, this is your last chance to change your major before it has to be like a whole process. And I'm like, okay, I'll do film. Because my whole life, you know, loving movies, wanting to like make animated movies. Okay, hold on. Wanting to make animated movies, loving, you know, it's been like my thing, and I never put two and two together that I can do anything other than 2D until that last day that pushed me like, shit, I can do film, because it never like occurred to me that maybe that's something I should do, because I love all forms of movies, not necessarily just animated. So I made that decision, and you know, for 2 years I'm going about it being like, I'm making a mistake, because you know, why wouldn't you think you're making a mistake, especially when you enter the school with everybody there, and everyone's saying like, yeah, I want to be a director, I want to be a writer, I want to get into cinematography, and then you're going around the class and everyone's like saying these things about themselves, and then they get to you and you're sort of like, yeah, I want to be a storyboarder for animated films. I mean, people think it's cool, which is nice, but it's also like, what the fuck are you doing here, right? So you feel a little bit like misplaced. I mean, I've eventually learned that I want to do storyboarding I'm okay with doing storyboarding for more like live action stuff as well, but that wasn't necessarily something that I thought at first. So I went to a women's film festival last year, like as a volunteer to like get involved with the community, because that's one thing about, I mean, I imagine that's similar about like the animation thing too, because why wouldn't it be? Anything to do with like art really is like an emphasis on networking, right? Meeting people, getting involved with people, like being open for collaboration, blah 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 blah, like all of that stuff is seen as super, super important and pushed on you a lot, and it's something that's a little bit stressful sometimes, but like, whatever, you know, it becomes kind of fun just to like talk to people. But I mean, one thing about it is like, you often feel like people are talking to you and like trying to become your friend just because you can do those things, you know? So it often feels like, okay, well, are these like friendships actually things that, you know, hold up because we're film students, you know? It's weird, but also like, you kind of get over that, especially when it's like you meet people and you actually connect with people and vibe with people. Because I've realized that, you know, being nice and networking and being cool with people is important and all, but like, it's better to kind of like form those like natural relationships with people so that you all kind of become consistent people in each other's work, because they're not going to invite you to, you know, another film if they don't really like you. And that's saying that like, when you actually do form those relationships with people and everything is like working out and it feels nice, it's not it being fake. That's, oh, we found like our people, we found like our, you know. So anyway, so I went to the film festival because I thought it would be good, and it was kind of mentally terrible, but I mean, I don't regret going for this reason. So I went there, and there was somebody from the local state college, that was coming over, and she is a teacher that had classes available that aren't available in my school. So she had like a story creating class, which I think is somewhat available in the in the creative writing type thing, but it's difficult to get there at my school. So she has like a story club. She has a like an actual like storyboarder class and stuff like that. So I'm like, shit, I wanna do that. So I started talking to her because I was talking with some of the other people that were working there, like networking, and basically it got to the point where I was introduced to her as somebody that wanted to pursue storyboarding, and I was like, listen, I feel like I'm wasting a bunch of money doing something pursuing a major that I don't need to pursue. And I was like explaining to her my situation, what I want to do, and she was like, you're in the exact right position that you need to be in for what you feel like you need to accomplish. And like hearing that was probably the best thing ever, and actually made college like a lot easier and better for me to continue doing the thing. But basically she told me that just because in my school, so my fucking camera died. So she was basically like, you're in the right major, you're doing the right thing, because learning the fundamentals of filmmaking and how to tell a story is more important to, not more important, but like just as important to storyboarding as say like, you know, actually knowing how to draw is. So she basically told me all of my electives, which, as I was saying, film kids have like the most electives that they can get, that any other major can get. She was like, work on fundamentals, work on art for all of your elective courses. Don't do, you know, I mean, I could take film classes if I want to, if I feel like it would be valuable to me doing my thing. Because I still want to be able to do other stuff in film. I want to be able to do sound. I want to be able to understand lighting, right? Because, you know, a lot of things that I've noticed on animated things of like people attempting to do their own sound rather than doing it to music or whatever, is that they don't know how to do it. Which, I mean, I know my sound sounds bad, okay? I'm trying to figure out a setup that works, but I'm saying for like animations, oftentimes the sound isn't the best, and that's fine, but it's just the lack of just knowing how to do it, or like the fundamentals of what makes sound good, right? So like, you know, I'm in a sound workshop now because I feel like it would be the most valuable thing for me as somebody wanting to get into animation in general and like wanting to perhaps produce my own stuff or make my own things, make my own boards. I could be able to do that with understanding how a sound works, right? Or how the audience reacts to sound. So those types of things are things like you should consider it. Like consider film schools. Consider film school instead of animation. If or like it's still art school. Film school is still art school. I fully believe that I am in art school right now, but it's just, you know, a different set of circumstances, different things that I'm learning, right? But it was very nice to hear from somebody that is successful in the business, that is, you know, a professor at a not uni, but at a state college, that you know, says that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm going down the right path, and that actually made me like realize, because every time, you know, you watch a Q&A video with any artist on YouTube, they're always talking about like, oh, like, is art school worth it? And you see like all of these videos, and all of them pretty much say the same thing, like it was worth it for them, but it may not necessarily be worth it for you. So, and that does hold true, but also there are different types of, you know, majors you can go in, or different types of classes you can take that can give you this knowledge that you need, right? Like, I don't know, I think I would have been decent at like an animation school or an art school, but I think it would have worn me out a lot more than a film school has. And film school, I don't know, like, especially since I'm like the only kid that likes doing storyboards, or the only person that likes, the idea, or not the idea, but there aren't a lot of people in the major that prefer animation, and there aren't a lot of people that like to do sound, and then storyboards, and like those types of things. So I'm the person that they can go to in that department. I have a lot more like opportunities, a lot more people that may end up just coming up to me instead of me having to approach other people, which is not saying that I shouldn't approach other people, but I'm saying it's just a bit more broader horizons in that sense. And especially since I'm understanding cinematography, I'm understanding lighting, and that can be somewhat more desirable if like I study film. Like, that's my study. I'm learning how to tell a story, and so perhaps, once I get to the point where I'm comfortable with it, I might be able to tell stories on more of a dynamic level, or whoever. I'm not saying me, I'm saying just anybody that were to go to film school and study specifically those types of aspects of film, and actually like not just watching animated films, but also watching live action films and understanding what makes them so effective, because the things that make them so effective, in a live action movie can work the exact same in an animated movie, even more, because you have more room for exaggeration, right? So that's all I'm saying. Like, consider film school, I guess, if that's something that you want to get into. Obviously, if you're, you want to do animation, you want to animate, then maybe like film school isn't necessarily the thing for you. Maybe a film minor would still be good, but like, I still recommend, even if you're in animation school, in art school, to still take film classes, even if it's not, it's super freaking useful. It really is. Even if you have to get through those like basic courses, it still like allows room for you to think more critically. Allows room for you to think more critically about, how film is, how it works. Think with a camera rather than with, just like an idea of a picture. Because if you think of like the camera moving and how it moves and how it's effective in films that have, amazing camera work, you can apply that to animation and create things that just like are on a completely another level because of that. Because I understand how this is, but like a lot of like Western animated like cartoons, right? They don't necessarily like move with the camera. They just kind of do like shot, reverse shot, but they don't even necessarily do like over the shoulder shots all the time. They don't necessarily think about lighting. And I get it, because like, it's a budget, or it's like more of a simplistic style, but like, if you wanted to create something more dynamic and you wanted to get into that business and create things that are like can like grab your attention a bit more, I suppose. Just, I suppose, on a cinematic level, having that knowledge is super crucial. Like, I know how I want to tell stories, and I want to tell them through my drawings, but cinematically, with a lens and with, motion, with movement, right? So, that's all I'm saying. So, like, yeah, my experience in art school thus far has been, like, somewhat interesting. I'm sort of, like, just now getting into the nitty-gritty of it, which is, the unfortunate thing. But if you're pursuing an art degree, 2D art or whatever, animation, and you have room for electives, take some film classes. I really recommend it. It can really help, like, stretch that specific, layer of yourself, I guess, and help, animators come to become a bit more like aware of what they're doing. Because I also feel like something that we tend to do is we tend to look at other animation, like other, like, I don't want to say amateur, but like not working for a studio, I guess. Not that it necessarily matters, but like we look at animators like online on YouTube, and we analyze what we think is good based off of them, which is fine, because you should have people that you idolize and people that you think their work is good, but maybe we don't necessarily understand it on a way that they did, because maybe they understood it from a film type level, but then somebody that, you know, is just analyzing their art may not necessarily know where that knowledge comes from. So this is just a suggestion. This is just me saying, like, maybe study more film, maybe like look into more live action films and see like the value of that. But I mean, this is just kind of, I guess, more of an update into how I'm feeling in my art school situation, because it often feels like it's different from a lot of people that talk about their experience in art school, because I'm pursuing film instead of 2D art. But just something to consider, I suppose. But yeah, I hope you liked this drawing. I took a video of the equipment, I guess. I don't really work. I work in like, drawing kind of weird traditionally lately. My sketchbook's almost done, so expect a sketchbook video pretty soon. So that'll be exciting. But yeah, I kind of work with like colored pencils, and then I go over it with line art or not line art, and then I just watercolor it. It's really weird. Makes it look kind of strange sometimes. But no, I don't think this looked too bad. I think the composition was interesting. I'm trying to like push myself more on like in compositional levels and finished pieces, and trying to do a lot more like realism. I get like not necessarily that I want to get good at realism, but I want to like understand how the body works a bit better, because you know, when you get to a certain point in your art, you kind of like stagnate, you know, you plateau, and you don't necessarily like know what to do from here. I've decided that I just need to pour my soul into doing exercises and things like that, but I know this isn't reflecting it, but I will attempt to perhaps do a video. I did my poses video a while ago. Maybe I'll upload the video of all the nature scenes that I recorded and take a few screenshots from that, and maybe try painting that or something. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, okay. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you like my OC. That's my OC, by the way. Original OC, do not steal. Yeah, hopefully you'll see my sketchbook video coming soon, because I mean, at first it wasn't that great, but I'm actually kind of liking it more towards the end, so then I can finally fucking start on a new one, because, you know, that's something that I've been wanting to do. Start on my new one, because I already bought it. It's sitting right there on my fucking shelf. I don't allow myself to draw on it until I'm done, because I know I'll never get done with it if I don't. It's a process. But yeah, follow me on Instagram. I post a lot of art there, whatever, stuff like that. Alright, see ya!